Good morning. Happy Thursday, January 2nd. We did not get the full 2 weeks off, so it is the day after New Year, and we are back for just 2 quick days. And my plan was to get here early and, do the whole thing, get all set up. And then I was like, you know what? It's a new year. I can relax. I can chill a little, have a coffee at home. So now it's 7:42, which is a good 20-30 minutes later than I usually get here. And yeah, I'm trying to act chill, but I'm not really that chill because I got to go inside and I have to move a lot of desks around, get prepared for the week. I already did my plans, of course, so I just need to look at what I need to do for today because I did those 2 weeks ago and make copies. Like I said, rearrange the desks. I'm switching up some things for the new year, so let me go in, do all that, and then I'll pop in with you and kind of share what we're up to, what I'm doing these next couple days, and what changes we're making. So let's get going. Also, I feel like I should have said this, but Happy New Year! All right, day 1 back from break is done. Day 76 overall is done. Can you believe it? 76 days of school done already. That's crazy. I had mentioned this morning that I was planning on switching a bunch of things up when we came back from break because, I had the foresight over vacation to go through and decide to change some things. And then all of a sudden we get back and I'm like, oh, okay, changing a lot up that we're going to try. So I figured what I would do right now is I'll pull up some of the slides and just quickly go over some of the things that we are changing from here on out. Like we're changing the way we do our morning work. I'm changing reading centers slightly. And then we have a little switch up with the pilot in literacy. So there's a few things that are changing that I figured these 2 days, today and tomorrow, would be good to just get them started with. And then going forward, this is how we'll do it. So let me share with you what those were. Okay, so first for the morning, we are changing up pretty dramatically what we're doing in the morning. So if you have seen before in the morning, they kind of usually come in, there's different toys that are laid out here, and those are the toys that they can do. But what has been happening is it's just getting so loud in the morning that our, quiet little morning is really just not what I had dreamed. And last year it worked great. Every class is different. So this year I'm doing a little switch up. So over here at the white table, I have some student names under here, and each day those names will change. So each day throughout the week, students will get a chance to just do complete, open, free play over at the white table. Everybody else will come in and they will do their morning work. So it is a good time at this time in the year to really get them reviewing some of the skills that we've been learning. So this is just my morning work. I have them for every single month, and it goes through phonemic awareness and phonics skills, and then also some math skills. So for this one, they are just blending the word and they have to circle it. Which starts with CBC, it gets progressively more difficult. And then how many 10s and 1s, they have to draw them down here. So after they do this, then they have 3 choices. They can do Play-Doh at their desks. They can do their little Tupperware of toys that they have at their seat, which I'll show you in a second, or they can do a coloring page. And so these options are things that I already had for them, except for the Tupperware. But now they have to come in and they're kind of doing this, and then they can do this just at their seat. And just to show you, let me grab one of the little bins here if I can find it. Here we go. So basically each month I'll change it out, but these are just little brain flakes. Sometimes we'll do Legos, sometimes we will do mini Jenga pieces, and one of their options is to, after they're done with their morning work, they can just play with those at their seat. And what I like about this and what happened this morning, which I thought would, they still talk plenty to one another. They are able to chit chat and have fun together, but without a million toys being opened and being all over the room and just the transition time of it all. So far it's only day one. We'll have to see how it goes, but I'm liking this option better. And then also just knowing that students get the opportunity at least once a week to make sure that they are just doing complete free play will be great. So that is the first switch up we did. The second big switch up that we did is we are back to Heggerty and Foundations. So if you've been following along, I'll just give you a quick little debrief in case you forget or you didn't know. I have been on the literacy committee to pilot some new programs. We're picking a new literacy curriculum, and I've been doing this for a year. So last year, before the school year ended, we went through a ton of different programs, and we went and did site visits. We had authors come do presentations. We did a whole big thing. I'm not going to go into it now, but we decided on two that we piloted. We piloted EL education this year for 8 weeks, followed up by HMH into reading that we also just finished for 8 weeks. We just finished that before the break. Our entire school committee voted, or not school committee, the literacy committee, we all voted. It was unanimous. We picked HMH into reading of those two to fully adopt for next year. Now, my goal and my ideal was to continue this program because we were doing the HMH Phonics. We were doing the reading and the writing portion. It was a full literacy curriculum. My students were doing really well with it. If you think about what I just said here, we had to start the year off with a brand new curriculum, EL education for 8 weeks. And then we had 2 days to switch it up, and then we're starting another new curriculum. Now, EL education, we didn't do the phonics portion of it. We just did the literacy or the language comprehension, like the reading and writing part, which means we started the year with foundations for phonics. Then when we switched to HMH, we had to switch to their phonics to really try it out. So my kids have bounced around and they've done a lot. I've had to bounce around and do a lot. So I was really hopeful that we would get to continue the year and I would continue the phonics, reading, writing that we've been doing because that's what we were going to be doing next year anyway. And I really liked it, if I'm being honest. I really liked the phonics portion. It's the structured literacy strand. It's the new part of HMH into reading. My kids were in such a nice routine with it. It has all the components I'm looking for in a phonics lesson. Anyway. Next year, it sounds like we will actually only be adopting, just for year one, not the phonics part, we'll be adopting the reading and writing part and keeping foundations just for next year so we can kind of ease into it, which I do understand because if you think about it, we're a K through 6 district and you're asking the K through 2 teachers to adopt a brand new phonics reading and writing, and you're asked, so it like 3 kind of programs or 3 new things, as opposed to the older grades that only have to adopt 2 new things. But I don't know. If it were up to me, I would say absolutely not. We should just go right through and do structured literacy the entire time. I definitely don't want to change it up now, although I have to. So we are back to foundation. So my kids are now bouncing back and forth. It's a little annoying. It wasn't up to me. It's fine. That's how I feel. Anyway, so something new is we are now back to Heggerty, which I don't mind Heggerty at all, so that's easy, but we're back to Heggerty, we're back to foundations. I also don't mind foundations. What I mind is all the bounce back, which is just a little frustrating. But again, not my call. So we are back to that. That's what I was going to show you. So I'll show you the slides and I'll kind of explain what we're up to. I will say in phonics with HMH, we had just done the NG, the nasalized NG, which foundations calls like glued sounds ing, ang, ung, and ong. We didn't get to NK yet. So what we're doing is this week we are teaching the unit 6 that foundations does, which is our suffix S. And I'm going to do that for about a week and a half. And that should catch me up to the rest of my team, who at this time is starting the unit 7 in foundations, which is that NG phonics part. So then I'll be able to catch back up with them when they're doing NK. That might be, if you understand foundations at all, then you might be understanding what I'm saying. But let me just show you the slides. So this is like a flashback for me because I have all of these slides ready-made for foundations, which I had actually made for this year. So we are just reviewing everything. Here's our trick words. We did some real and nonsense practice. And then, okay, here we go. So what do you notice about all these words? My students notice that they all have an S on the end. We talked about what that suffix S means. We talk about first how if it's on the end of a noun, it makes it plural. So pot and pots. hen and hens. We also talk about how we can sometimes make the S sound or the Z sound. So you have to remember that when you are writing. And I had students come up, they marked each word. So they would mark the, underline the base word, and then they would circle that suffix S. And then we listened, we blended these words together, and we listened for if it made the S on the end, and if it did, we would wiggle our hand like a snake. And if it made a Z sound, like kids, we would do like a little poker, like z, 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 like you're a bee stinging something. So we did that for this, and then we added it to our journal. So that is just something we are currently back to. And then we did a wiggle break by Danny Go. Also, since I'm here in the slides, we did for writing, we read Squirrel's New Year's resolution, and we did this last year, but we just did, I found this on TPT, I can link it down below, my New Year's goal, and this is for our bulletin board. So I'm gonna make a big little disco ball and put it on our bulletin board to decorate it, and everybody wrote their goals. And then for math, we are still finishing up our addition and subtraction within 20 unit. So we're doing a little bit of review before we assess. And then reading and writing, I am sticking with HMH for the end of the year. So we'll be piloting that again through the rest of the year just to feel it out, see what tweaks might be needed for next year, and just kind of continue through that process. So that we are doing. And then the only other big thing that changed, let me grab this ready. The only other big thing that changed is our reading centers. So I have a whole video about how I set up reading centers like this right here. This is how I did it last year, and this is exactly how I did it coming into this year. But something new that changed was I had mentioned in my last couple of videos that we just got Lexia. Lexia is a learning app, and it is a reading app specifically. And it's a really great app, but it requires like 40 minutes a week per student, which is a lot of time. So we really have to, since adopting it and it's so expensive, we want to make sure that our students are actually doing it the appropriate amount of time to see what gains they're making and to really evaluate if it is worth it and if it's working. So we need to squeeze in that time to make that happen. So in order to do that, of course, I can't just have it be like one reading center for the week, because then they're only getting it that 10-15 minutes once a week. So let me show you how I'm trying to switch it up. Again, this is all new today. So like the morning work and these reading centers, I'm just seeing how it's working, and then we will take it from there in a few weeks and see how it goes. So the way our reading centers looks now is this timer right here usually starts at about 10 or 12 minutes. My reading group, I have some names here, they will come back to me and they will always meet with me first during this time. I do 2 reading groups a day, so there are 2 kind of run-throughs of this reading center. So now step 1 is every single person is going to start, except for my friends here, they will come to me. But everybody else is going to get out their iPads and they are going to do Lexia until this timer is up. So it'll be about, I won't start the timer till everybody has their iPads. So it'll be about 10 to 12 minutes that they will do Lexia. After they do Lexia, they'll stay on their iPad and they will go over to Seesaw and do some sort of Seesaw assignment. I can show you what this one I have here is. And then after that, if they finish that, there is a paper and pencil activity for them to do. So it's definitely a lot different. It's a lot more independent than I usually have these reading centers. So we're gonna see how this goes. And what happens is, again, after this group leaves me, they then go do this. So they're probably not getting to the paper pencil activity, but that's okay. It's important that they get the Lexia. So again, we're gonna see kind of how this works. And then that second group, they'll just come to me during that time, and then wherever they kind of pick up over here is fine. So every single day it's going to look like this, 1, 2, and 3. These will have to change, of course, each day. So I have to see kind of how that's gonna work as well. And I also, not every day is this gonna be paper and pencil. This might be like epic one day, you know what I mean? So it might be finish up your paper and pencil from yesterday, epic. Like I'm really gonna have to kind of play around with that. Actually, if you have any ideas for me on how to maybe make that work, because I really don't want to switch up. I don't want to do a new Seesaw activity and a new writing activity every single day. That seems like a lot of planning for me and a lot of paper that I just don't need to be doing. So I do think I might have, I don't know. I'm still working that out and see how it goes. Epic I like at the end, because they don't, that way they can at least listen to stories as long as they've already finished their Seesaw activity for the week and their paper pencil activity for the week. It is also a lot of, like I said, it's a lot of independent iPad time, which I don't love, but there's really no way around it for having to do Lexia for that long every single day. So if you have any tips for me on how to manage that, please let me know down in the comments that I can try out and see how it works. But it is now 3:30, so I'm going to get out of here. I will pop in tomorrow and share just some of the activities that we've been up to. I just wanted to do a quick little pop in this week. I know many of you are probably lucky enough you don't even have to be back at school yet. You're probably still enjoying vacation. But next week we'll have our full 5 days back, so you'll be right back with me. All right, I'm gonna get out of here and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, happy Friday. It's exciting that it's already Friday. That's a nice thing about this little 2-day ease back into things. It'd be a lot, I find this a lot easier than having to come back from Christmas break and go right into like 5 full days. So I don't mind a little 2-day ease back into the routines of things. I know yesterday I shared a lot of what we are kind of switching up for the upcoming year and what I plan on changing. But today I just wanted to show you a couple of the quick little things we're doing. This will be a relatively short video because there's only 2 days this week and I just wanted to do a little pop in. But I thought I would start the year strong and make sure I'm opening up my camera and sharing with you what we are doing. So first, I will tell you that in math, in my head over the break, I had it planned that we were reviewing yesterday and we were going to assess today for addition and subtraction within 20, but I was wrong. And I forgot that I was wrong. So today I was looking for some sort of activity for us to do. And since I took down all of the artwork before break, I thought this would be a good time to make a little math craft. So that's what I was just making copies of. We're gonna do this craft right here. There are 3 different options. There's actually 4 different options in the pack, but I'm gonna have my students pick between 3 of them. They're gonna pick either the cityscape, they're going to pick the penguin, or they're gonna pick the snowman. And they first have to do all the little snowballs where they have to answer a subtraction problem within 20, and then they can kind of put the whole thing together. It will take a long time, so it'll take pretty much our whole math block, and I'm fine with that. And then we will go ahead and decorate the classroom. Again, a nice little ease back into it activity. So that's what we're doing in math. Yesterday, I think I told you, I'm not sure if I did, but yesterday in math, we talked about addition and subtraction within 20, and we talked about word problems, or story problems is what we call them. So we practiced listening to a story problem, determining, are we adding here? Are we subtracting? How would I go about solving this? And then students actually got their own story problem to do with a partner, and their name was in it. So if it was Susan and Parker, it would be like, Susan read 15 Elephant and Piggy books. Then she gave Parker 7 of them to read. How many does Susan have left? So they loved getting to like see their names in there, and it was something cute that they can relate to. And then they had to determine, are we adding, are we subtracting, and what would that equation look like? And then they shared it with the class. So that was fun for yesterday. Today we'll just do this fun little math craft, and we will be back to it next week. So then next week, we're going to do a quick review of place value, and we'll do some 10 more, 10 less practice, and then we will assess at the beginning of the week. And then I actually think we go into calendar and time as our next little unit, which is kind of like a break unit in between going to some bigger numbers. So I believe that's what's coming next, but I will confirm next week. From the end of the day, the lights are off and I have got to get out of here, but I realized I did not check in after this morning. I did create my little disco ball and I made this little bulletin board. I did the same one last year, so I just copied that again. This time I'm going to try to save the disco ball so I don't have to make that every year, because I don't know why I decided to recycle that or throw it away or whatever. So there's our little bulletin board. I still have a few friends that need to make theirs that weren't here these last couple days, so I'll do that next week. And then really, I think I'm going to kind of end the vlog. I did want to check in and say that in reading today, maybe I can show you the reading slides in Phonics rather, we reviewed that suffix S again, and we talked a lot about how sometimes words just end with the S sound and other times they have a suffix S. So we're really trying to get students to listen for and understand the difference between a word just ending in S and what the actual suffix S means and how it changes the word when we add the S to it. So I'll show you those slides and I can tell you a little bit about what we did in writing today. So let's do that and then I'll get on out of here. Also, I just realized you can see the little snow globes we did. I'll flip this camera around in a minute so you can actually see them, but they came out really cute. Here they are in a closer up view. I like how they each have their own little style and they got to pick what they wanted inside and they picked their own little background. They came out super cute. So back to the slides, we reviewed our letter sounds and digraphs as well as our glued sounds. We reviewed our trick words. And then for this game, they had to look at each word on the board and they would give a thumbs up if it was a suffix S, and they would then come up and mark it by underlining the base word. And if it does not have a suffix S, they give a thumb down. So bus, no suffix S. Everybody did thumbs down. Jugs. Jugs does have a suffix S, so someone came up and they underlined the base word, circled the S, and we talked about what that meant. Fox, we talked about how we can hear that sound, but it's actually an X. Pills, that has the floss rule and it has our suffix S. Box again with the X, and then cops. So we did that for each of them. Then we took out our magnet boards, and first I just had students build a CVC word or a word with a digraph, and then we added the S to it and talked about how it changed the word. And then we did some dictation. So again, we kind of did a little word chain. Actually, I'll insert a picture of it right here in the center of the screen. Just 6 little words, and we did a word chain so they could go ahead and change those letters. Then we did our wiggle break with Danny Go. And then we went into writing. So we are starting the new unit in HMH, and for writing, we are doing a how-to book, and we're going to talk about how to be a good friend. So we just read today the mentor text, Do Unto Otters, a book about manners. So we talked about that, and then we really just talked about how Rabbit wants to be treated. Would you like to be treated that way as well? And we talked about the purpose of this book is not only to entertain, because it is an entertaining book, but it also teaches a lesson. And we will talk more about that. We didn't really introduce how-to writing just yet, but we're just kind of at the kicking off point of this lesson. So it was a very simple writing lesson today. We listened to the book, we talked about what our goal will be going forward, and especially on a Friday with some kids out from vacation, I didn't feel like diving into like a full, this is exactly how we're gonna do this unit, so we'll really get into all of that next week as we start our procedural writing. And then I've mentioned this before, but the HMH writing is definitely lacking in terms of like the lesson. It's like a 1-page kind of nothing lesson, but I've taught how-to writing plenty of times before, so I'm going to try to take what I have and see how I can kind of beef up these lessons, thinking about how teachers are going to use it next year, because we are piloting this through the rest of the year to kind of work out the kinks and see what we want to maybe add, what we need, and things like that. That is all I really have for you today. Like I said, it's Friday afternoon. I'm gonna get on out of here. I just wanted to do a short video and let you know what we are up to this week. If you aren't heading back until tomorrow, if this video comes out on Sunday. So yeah, if you're going back tomorrow, best of luck to you. I hope you had a wonderful holiday break, and I will see you in the next video. As always, make sure you like this video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.